Hey everybody! All right, it's the day 2 for the English language sessions of GEG APAC Weekend 8.0. And again, we got a smaller, scaled-down version of this, just with a couple of us, a few of us doing the presentations here this weekend. But we hope we're bringing something to you that you like and something that's good. So I've got my phone going on right here. So if you have any comments, I'm watching the live chat. If you're watching this in real time, if you're not, then feel free to drop us a note at some other point in time. But this is not a session where I actually use a slides deck. So I'm going to just kind of share some tabs with you as we move on. But let me just tell you to go to GEG APAC. If you do a Google search, then you're going to find some other sessions in other languages that are happening today, as well as the ones for this. And I'll pop those in the chat as well. In fact, I think I'll do that right now. Yeah, I mean, if you're watching this, chances are you've seen us already on YouTube or Twitter, I should say, or is that X? Anyway, I'm just going to put the word link to sessions, and you're going to see other sessions with the links to the YouTube broadcast that you can find. Now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because this is a shorter session, just about 30 minutes. I'm focusing on Padlet, and it's really good for any teacher, really. What I'm gonna show you, I think you might instantly think, oh, that's great for geography teachers or teaching geography. But I think this is really good for anyone, to be honest with you. So let me go to share my screen here. And I'm just gonna keep an eye on my phone just to make sure that you can see what I'm seeing here. So you should be looking at my Padlet dashboard. Now, Padlet, I think, is quite well known by now. But in case you're not really sure, Padlet is an online tool that is interactive. You can have people working together. You can have people working alone on a specific pad. It's like a palette that you use to share resources, to communicate, and that kind of thing. That's not the best description, but what I like for it is that it's really good for collaborating in groups, but it's also good for getting students to share their thinking and their ideas. So I'm going to quickly show you how Padlet kind of works. In fact, you know what? Now that I think about it, I'm going to have to open another tab here because I want to show you what I'm kind of talking about. So let me just share this tab instead here. All right, so this is what I'm looking at. We're going to create this thing called, a Padlet map. And there is a mapping tool where you can geographically place pins in the correct places. But I want you to think about, how can I use this in my classroom, right? So the way that I tend to use it, really, when I do, is more for, we've got an extra 10 or 15 minutes in class. I want to do something meaningful, but without really giving you just an extra task to do. Now, in the IB world, international mindedness is really very, very important, right? It's one of our anchors in the program. So and again, I'm a social studies teacher, by the way. I teach history and middle years program, individuals and societies. So what I've done is taken all these TED Ed animations, and I love TED Ed animations. I think they're amazing. And I've created this map of different points in history, different parts of the world. Again, that international mindedness. And I've got to update this because I haven't added much to it in the last year. But essentially, when I have extra time in class, students can go to any one of these. I'm kind of curious about Mali. Let's check out Mali today. All right, and here's something on Timbuktu. So essentially, what students do is watch these short 4 to 5 minute videos, which is a great length of time for a 10 to 15 minute task. And I only put in just one provocation, one prompt, because if you're going to have students do something in 10 or 15 minutes on an ongoing basis, this is really more of a filler activity. But I don't like the word filler because I do think it's meaningful if you do have really good questions, right? And again, if you have a good focus, right? We're looking at a balance between different parts of the world. You're looking at a balance between different kinds of people and diverse people in history. So I think it can be very, very valuable. And if you wanted to, you could grade it. You have students log in, they watch the video, thinking about the prompt, they give the response. That could be a grade that you assign students. I don't, but hey, whatever makes you happy. So the question is, how do you make this, right? And it's pretty straightforward. So if you've created Padlet before, then maybe this is where you kind of duck out. But stick around for the timeline piece. Okay, so let me go back to my Padlet dashboard. And so right up here where it says make a Padlet, you're going to click on that. And as you see, you scroll down, you can choose all these different kinds of templates that have already been made for you, right? Excuse me. The shelf is probably one of the more common ones you see. But what I want to go with is the map. And excuse me, got a little bit of a cold going on here. Not a podcast. There's the map feature. And I'm not sure why I can't find it here. Let's see if that happens. No, I don't want a blank board. I'm probably scrolled right over it, Storytelling, next tickets. Where's my map? Usually it's at the top, I've found in the past, but peer report, rubric, bookshelf. Where is our map? I know. I just skip ahead if you're watching this after. I only got one person watching online, and it's probably me keeping track of nobody watching. Well, this is a little bit tricky. Oh, there we go. And there's the map. So it's under the lessons part. Okay, well. All right, so I'm going to worry about all my settings and things like that. Notice it's already defaulted to putting Japan kind of in the middle, right? I'm just going to pull out of that right now. All right, so now what I want to do is kind of mess around with my title and stuff like that. So let's assume that people watching don't really know Padlet so well. So what I'm going to do is not going to be sharing it with the world. I'm going to go to my settings right here. Okay, that's the first thing. Whoa, that's the first thing I'm going to do. Kind of zoomed into that a little bit too quickly. There we go. That should help. There we go. All right, so here, this is where you're going to change your title. This is where you're going to change the appearance and things like that. The map style, that's one thing I'll show you. I kind of like this view. You'll choose the one that you like the most, but that's kind of the one that I like. So you're going to click Save. If you click on Appearance, like, your tabs at the top, they're going to take you to the different things that or places that you need to go. So with engagement, you're going to want to toggle this. Like, are people allowed to comment and this and that? Yes. Again, this isn't really a session on all of Padlet. It's more about using the mapping and timeline tools. But make sure if you're allowed to have students' images public and that kind of thing. Your links are going to have to be just shared with your students if privacy is a big thing in your school or school district. So go through these and make sure you have all the proper settings. What I want to do is focus on putting your information in here, right? And just like Padlet and anything else, it's that little plus button. If you tap on that, you can search places by name. So let's say this is a map for a unit on World Heritage Sites. That's going to be my theme. So it doesn't necessarily really have to be a timeline. So let's say I'm going to go with, let's start with Japan because I'm here. So I'm going to click on that. Just to let you know, I have all my stuff made beforehand, and I just kind of copy and paste when I do things. So let's share this tab instead. So Shirakawa Go. Okay, now I'm gonna wait for my pin here. I'm gonna take that out. That didn't quite go as well as I wanted here. Let me put Shirakawa Go in Japan. Okay, And I am going to write something beautiful. So I'm just going to put all this stuff right here. In fact, I'm going to use I'm not going to use an image in there, so I don't need the image attribution. Yeah, I'm going to put something there, and maybe I'm going to add a photo or maybe a video. Let's go with the TED Ed stuff here and find out if there's anything on Japan. Okay, Trickster Raccoon. I kind of like that. I'm going to copy that. All right, I'm going to go back to my map here. I am just going now. As you're watching here, right? You saw that thing going around here. I'm going to click on this ellipse here, and that gives us more options, kind of thing, right? So what I'm going to do is just go to YouTube, and I'm going to paste in the URL that I want. But just note that there's other things that you can look at, right? Now, this video that's going to pop up isn't really relevant to the reading here. But you get the idea. You put your text in, you put your provocation, and then, in fact, let's just kind of change this. Well, no, let's keep with the theme here. And then you can continue to add little things to it if you want. You can play around with, the theme of the color if things aren't looking the way you want them. I'm going to click Publish here. And so now I'm going to zoom out because I want to put another one in, another one in, another one in. Now, I got to really zoom out a lot here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so essentially that's how you're going to put pins on the map. So as you start adding more pins to different parts of the world, you're gonna see that map that looks kind of like this, right? With different pins all over the planet, kind of deal. So that's the first thing that I wanted to show you here. All right. Now remember, when you're back to the map that you've made, you're going to share it with the world, right? So you'll have to, and with your students, you'll have to go to your share settings and figure out how you're going to share it, and what viewing and posting permissions you're going to get. But this I like as an idea for an ongoing thing all year long. You got like 10 or 15 minutes left in class, and students can come back to this. And if you only have 4 or 5 students every other day that are using it, you can actually assess it, or in the least give feedback and comments on it to students. So what I'm going to do is go back to Padlet. So I'm going to click here, and we don't really need this, so I'm going to delete it. Right? Let's move that to trash. And so now we're going to look at another feature that's kind of like a timeline feature, right? This is where you're going to have something that's chronological. So we're going to go to Make a Padlet again, and we're going to do that same old dance, scroll down. Can't seem to, whoops, I didn't want to do that. Let's go back to Padlet. Let's see. Oh, well, look at that. There's a timeline right there. I'm going to choose that. But I want to show you a different kind of timeline. Now, let's put this up first. Let's see. Put your topic. Let's go with like 1800s. Woo! And I'm going to put my text. Let's say you've got your text ready and that kind of thing. Click and publish that. I'm going to put another one here. So this is kind of the old 1900s. This is the old feature of Padlet, or the older version. I don't know why I still have it here. But you used to be able to do this. So I want to show you a different version of Padlet where you can create the timeline. So I'm going to go back to Padlet, but just for some of you that have access to this version, then use it. It's really good. The one thing with this is when with this one that you're looking at, you keep scrolling across, which is what a timeline normally does, right? But you see vertical timelines as well. But scrolling across can be a bit of a pain and that kind of thing. There is another version of the timeline feature that I kind of like. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to move that one to trash. I'm going to click Make Padlet, but I'm going to scroll and I'm going to look for timeline here. So let me work on some coffee here. Let me work on my coffee while we scroll down and look for the timeline. And unfortunately, can't really search in here. Yeah, it'll be coming here soon, though. Trust me, people, it exists. And hey, we got a whole one person watching here, so if you want to make a comment, go ahead and make a comment there. We're looking for the timeline, though. Where is that timeline? I find these do tend to be towards the bottom here, but yeah, internet cause and effect. Well, there's the map, but you're not showing us their timeline here. Ah, there we go. There's their timeline. So again, you might have to do a bit of scrolling and that kind of thing. All right, so now I'm just going to click the done button here because it's not a session on how to do Padlet per se, right? It's how to create your timeline. So I'll just remind you, go to your settings and then change your appearance and your layout and all that kind of thing. I am going to change the appearance a little bit here and just going to make that blank. The layout is an important thing with the timeline kind of deal. All right, so here we've got posted, by timeline grid canvas. So that's in your format little bit right there. So there's one thing, the comments, the reactions, there's one point where you're going to have to allow people to group post by a section kind of thing. Okay. And that's the big thing with the timeline that you got to pay attention to. If you do that, then that's going to give you that vertical timeline. So let's not worry about the actual time, but kind of think about how we can use the timeline features. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with Great Zimbabwe here. All right. So the Bantu civilization that thrived in Zimbabwe. So, and just to let you know, I've got all of this stuff right here written down on a Google Doc that you can have a look at. That you can make your work go by really, really quickly if you have. So let's go back to the timeline here. Let me share this tab. And so section 1, maybe you want to grid things by section. I'm going to just click here. I'm going to rename the section. Let's say we're doing this by civilization, right? So no, actually, let's go by, I'm going to put I don't know, let's say, I'm just going to put ancient civilizations. Let's do that because I'm going to focus on posting things on. Okay, so now in this case, Zimbabwe, Great Zimbabwe, actually, the Bantu civilizations. So I'm going to actually put some stuff in here. Note that I'm copying and pasting and going back and forth and that kind of thing. I'm going to get my image attribution link here and going to hit my ellipse because I want to put more interesting stuff in there. So I'm going to do an image search. I've got the URL for my image. Excuse me. All right. And then maybe I want to add a caption. I want to do certain things. Maybe I want to add a video or something like that as well. So you can do that by adding links. I'm just going to click publish here so you can see. All right. So now what I want to do, though, is I want to add something that's a section down below, right? And so you notice here it says add section. Let's scroll over right there, right? Well, that means if I just click add a section, let's say, let's see, ancient civilizations, let's say pre-modern civilizations. Okay, and remember, like the key idea here is that we've got that setup here, that in your settings, the layout, right, where you're going to group post by section. If you don't do that, you're going to have a hard time, right? So now I want to add something to this. Let's go to, I would say it's pretty safe to say that if we're looking at Shirakawa Go, that's pre-modern. Well, it's modern culture. Let's just say modern, but Japan's like an ancient civilization as well. But for the sake of argument, let's just let's add a post here. Okay, and I'm gonna take some of the image. Take the image. Let's assume that I've got more thought into my content here. Okay, I'm gonna put the image right there. Okay, my image is populating, lovely. And then, of course, I'm going to put more things, maybe questions for my students. Maybe I'm going to put videos and things like that in there. Now, let's say I say to myself, wait a minute, I've got this in the wrong place, right? That's actually got to go to ancient civilizations. Well, maybe I'm going to take that and drag it and put it up here. And you notice how I just very quickly dragged it and it moved? That is a pretty cool feature. So I like this new, I'm going to take that and put it here. Actually, but it's if we're looking at Shirakawa Go, we're looking at modern Japan, actually. And let's rename that. I'm not going to make that incorrect. I'm going to take that and I'm going to drop it right down there. So now I've got to build the rest of my stuff and make the content. And now you do note that if you had a whole pile of ancient civilizations across here, then students can kind of scroll across. You can add a nice background here too to make it look kind of cool. But one other thing too is that there's the word here. There's the word I was thinking of. You can move things as you want to go. Students, you can assess as well. Oh, but there's another comment that I wanted to make that I'm kind of forgetting here. Sorry, my apologies. Yeah, you can drag things and move them around as you want. You can group things not necessarily by specific time for a timeline. It could be in categories or that kind of thing. You could use this. That's what I wanted to say. You could use this as a choice board. Choice board's a good idea as well. So don't worry about the idea of like a map or a timeline. Those are just really labels. You can use them as choice boards for pretty much any kind of topic that you want. So just a reminder, actually, let me show you this feature too that I kind of like. There's this slideshow feature in Padlet now. So I'm gonna have to, let me just highlight to you right here. Okay, if you click on that, this is opening another tab, so I'm going to share the tab instead. It's got a timeline view, so students can actually just kind of tap on these and go through in this kind of view, which I think is kind of cool. And you, the teacher, if you're using this to teach a class, as a group lesson or something like that, you can do that as well. Let's look how that looks on the map, actually, because I think the map, it looks quite cool as well. So let me go back here. Let me share this tab with you. We're going to go back to Padlet. Yeah. And we're going to open, I deleted the map, but that's okay because I have the other map. Here we go. We're going to share this tab instead. Okay. And I want to look at the slideshow. Now, I'm not logged in. This is not the map that I own in this account. I have it in another, but it goes to show that if it's public, other people can use it. So here I'm going to click Open Slideshow. Remember, it opens another tab. And so now the students can look at it in like this timeline kind of version, which I think is really cool, right? So now let's just go back and have a look at a couple of other features kind of thing. And again, that timeline, there's different ways to look at it. I think it's kind of cool. I like it quite a lot. And let's just go back to a few other features within Padlet here so that, let's see, let's go back to our timeline. Just a couple of other things before we wrap up here, because this is a short session. Notifications, you might want to put those on for when people are actually commenting on that. If you click on the ellipse, you just get pretty much everything else that you can do from time to time. Everything else you can do in other ways in different places. Sharing is important, right? So if you're going to add people to collaborate, or if you want people to print in that, post in that kind of thing, you can do that through here. I do want to highlight that you can export this as a PDF. I think that's also a good idea, just in case some people around the world have trouble with Wi-Fi. Oh, and you're not on the right tab. Sorry, I'm going to go through that one more time. So the ellipse here will give you other things that you can do. Sorry, I didn't share my tab. That wasn't proper. If you go to your settings on the right side, that's the main thing that you can do. Remember, think about your appearance. That's not as important unless you're in the timeline grouping things by section. Your layout, not really a big deal. The engagement, that really, are people allowed to comment and that kind of thing? That's pretty important. Posting. Now, this is the thing. Are these going to be moderated for language and things like that? And let's see. Let's go with the advanced here. I'm going to get out of that because I want to go to sharing here. So I'm going to go to my share tab. And this is where you can add your collaborators and things like that. Your links. Now there's the export bit too. All right. Now remember too, this is, you get a QR code. Our students going to do this on a tablet or an iPad or a phone, that kind of thing. But there's the export as a PDF. I like that because sometimes people are in a Wi-Fi challenged part of the world. So if you have a PDF that you can upload and then students can access the PDF, all the links are they're active links. So anything that you have on your Padlet, the links will appear and they can click. Again, if you're having a challenge with Wi-Fi, the links might not work, but at least the mini text is there, and perhaps your students can, kind of work from home where their Wi-Fi might be better than at school, kind of thing. But again, this isn't really a Padlet session. It's on how to use the maps in Padlet and how to use the timelines, which I kind of done. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And I hope you've got a couple of ideas from that. So go to Padlet, try the mapping and the timeline. Again, it's not just for geography and social studies and history teachers. I think there's lots of cool other things that you can do with it. Anyway, we've got other sessions coming up. One on teacher efficiency coming from India a little bit later, and then another one coming from here on Adobe Express video, the video creation tool for assessment. I love that stuff. So we'll see you in a couple hours or an hour and a half maybe. But anyhow, give these two things on Padlet a try. The mapping and the timeline tool. Thanks for watching.